Hey guys, Tom here with today's Drive and Talk. Today we're talking about open wheel racing, mainly Formula 1 and IndyCar. And no shade to any of the other racing out there, but I just wanted to talk about this for a minute. Again, I'm on some Facebook pages that are dedicated to IndyCar racing and Formula 1 racing, and so the seasons are over, and now what we have coming up is Formula 1's going to get a new car. Everybody's going to get a new car, new design requirements, and then additionally they're going to have a new team. They're going to have that Cadillac team with Andretti behind it. So now you'll have 22 drivers on the grid for F1. And I'm kind of wondering if this is going to be a reset for everybody. And could you have other teams with a really fast car that maybe were in the middle of the pack or, at the bottom? Probably not, but, it kind of makes it exciting because you don't know what to expect. A new car, and then you also have a new team out there. And then I was looking at their schedule, and I think F1 has 24 races they're going to do worldwide next year. And I was looking at the IndyCar schedule, and I think they're going to have 17 that they'll do throughout the U.S. And I watch both of them. I really like open wheel racing. I do. I've never gotten behind the NASCAR thing, and I know they have a huge following. I think it was surpassing NFL football, the crowd that they had gathered years back. But yeah, that's a huge following, NASCAR. But I like open wheel racing. I really like IndyCar. When you compare the two, Formula 1 and IndyCar, they're just a little bit different animals from each other. And in Formula 1, they'll race 70 laps on a track somewhere, and they don't take on fuel. They have power steering. They'll have like 2-second tire changes. It's so impressive to watch that. And then they're back out on the grid. But what you can get caught into is, because they can build their own cars as long as they meet the specs and the formula of what's required in Formula 1, they can build their own car. They have a lot of say in it. So that's a different animal, where you might be watching a season where the guy with the fastest car is winning a majority of the races. Max Verstappen did a lot of that. McLaren adjusted, and they did well this year. Lando Norris got the Drivers' Championship, and then McLaren also got the Constructors' title. So they did well this year. But they don't take on fuel. Now in IndyCar, they are driving without power steering. Formula 1 has power steering. And they're driving on a variety of surfaces. They have ovals, they have tracks, and they have street courses that are set up for them. And so they're kind of doing a variety of things there, and they're doing it without power steering. And what I like about IndyCar is that they're hitting speeds like at the Indy 500. They are so fast there. And when they're qualifying and practicing, they're hitting speeds. They've hit over 240 miles an hour. What was it? Connor Daly hit 243, I think. I'll check that. But they are going so fast. It's insane. And you'll see them during the race. There'll be 3 across on the track with the threat of a wall right there that they're ready to hit. So when they call it the fastest racing on Earth, well, it is. Now, you'll always have somebody say, well, NHRA dragsters with they're 11,000 horsepower and they do 300 miles. Yeah, okay. They do it for 1,000 feet if their car doesn't shut down. IndyCar doesn't say they're the fastest drag racing on Earth. They say they're the fastest racing on Earth. And in fact, they are. But what are they? I think they tune their cars or detune them depending on the course that they have. And they can be, I've read 2 different articles where they can be 500 to 700 horsepower and 700 to 900 horsepower, or 500 to 900 horsepower. Formula 1 cars have more horsepower. I've read 1,200, 1,300 horsepower right in there. And so they're really fast. But their courses that they drive, they don't get up to the speeds. They don't do ovals. They don't take on fuel during a race. So while I said that the Formula 1, tire changes are 2 seconds, and it really is impressive. In IndyCar, it's a different tactic because they're taking on fuel. They're driving as far as 500 miles, 250 miles. Formula 1 doesn't see long races like that. IndyCar does, and they're driving these speeds. Just during the race, they're hitting well over. They're hitting 230, and sometimes they're doing those speeds when there's 3 cars across coming into the straightaway. It's really impressive to watch. But the tactic is different, and their tire changes and taking on fuel can be 10 or 11 seconds and 12 seconds. I've seen some 15-second tire changes, and so I don't know how you calculate that out. Is this when you're the statistician? Is that how you say that? For the team, calculating where you are in the race, your tire changes you need, and how much fuel they've estimated that you burned, and how much more you'll need, because you don't want to take on too much fuel, then that's just weight. But you want to take on the right amount. So there's a lot to that. And so F1 did a great thing in that documentary they created for themselves, Drive to Survive. And I have to admit, after watching that, I started watching F1 racing. Now, as a kid, we had a guy named Tom Sneva here from where I grew up, and he won the Indianapolis 500. That was a big deal. That was a really big deal. And when he was in junior high, Tom Sneva, I think my dad actually taught him and his brother back in the, 50s, 60s, something like that. Early 60s anyway. And so we'd watch the Indianapolis 500 growing up. And I'd heard of Formula 1 racing, but I didn't know much about it growing up. And we didn't have cable TV or back then that would show that. We got cable TV into my town when I was like in the 3rd grade or something, but you didn't get to watch what we get to watch now. Now we get to see the whole world. But Formula 1, I think they're coming to Toronto next year, and that might conflict with, is it the Indy 500? It's gonna conflict, it sounds like. And so that'll be interesting to see how that works. I don't think fans care, because if they watch both, and I watch both, you'll watch the one you favor the most, and you'll DVR the other race. And as long as you stay off social media and don't listen to the news, you can then pull up the race you DVR'd and watch it and see who won, if you want to do it that way. I was at an IndyCar race a year and a half ago in Portland, Oregon. This was so cool. And so I paid the extra money to get into the pits and the paddock area, and they let us in there while they were practicing and while they were qualifying. The group there in Portland debated whether or not they were going to let us in the pits during the race, but and we did get in their way. The guys hauling tires and wings and stuff back and forth, and they were really polite about it. But I really tried to make an effort to stay out of the way and, not screw up what they were doing. But we were so close to these cars when they would do their tire changes. And we were, I don't know, 15 feet, if that, away. You had to stand behind this yellow line. So you're right up close and personal. You're seeing the air gun going and changing tires out and the fuel going. And then you hear them peeling off. And you're looking at, the engineers and the statisticians looking at the screen, seeing who's where. You had NBC Sports walking right past you with their camera person, and then the IndyCar drivers are walking right past you. There's no security with them, no nothing. You almost bump shoulders with them. And they had an autograph signing time in there, and I didn't do that, but when they're going out to qualify and going out to practice, they're towing their cars out with a tow vehicle, sometimes a golf cart or some kind of tow vehicle. You had complete access. There was no security there to tell you to stay away from the car. I could go up and I'd keep my hands behind my back to let them know I was not a troll, and you could look inside the car. You could come up and look close and see how it's built and look at the motor. Nobody said anything to you. The drivers are going past you on scooters or walking past you, and they could be by themselves, and there was no security. The access we had, to these drivers, if you wanted to stop a driver, which I saw people doing, asking for a quick autograph, they'd do it and smile, and they had no problem with that. So the access to the drivers and to the cars, paying the extra money for the paddock area and the pits. The pits was really cool. That's where you wanted to be when they were qualifying or practicing. God, I thought that was cool because we were right there. I think Romain Grosjean, I think that's how you say his name, who used to be an F1. You saw him in Drive to Survive. He was burning in his car for 2 minutes or whatever it was. Well, he went to IndyCar and drives over there, and he's getting in his car to go out and practice, and I was 12 feet from him, and there's no security. It's just everybody acted cool that had pit passes. Nobody acted like a tool or anything, but I just kind of shook my head. I thought, God, the access we have to these guys and the cars, this is just, I didn't expect it, because that was my first time there. And that was in 20. I didn't get to go. Some stuff happened that kept me at home, and I couldn't go this last August to Portland, but I'm really, really going to try to go again in August next year. And then if I can get another one in somewhere, because not every track has pit passes and access to the pits like that. Some have the paddock only, and that's about it, I think. But Portland had access to the pits. This was cool. This was really cool. And the owners of the teams, Chip Ganassi, he's just, 8 feet from me, just walking around, no security. And that's what was really appealing about that whole strategy. See, with IndyCar, the cars are essentially built the same. Now you have one of two engines. I think you have a Chevy or a Honda engine, and then the car is built from is the company Dallara, I think. So every driver, in theory, has a chance for a podium every weekend, because essentially everything's the same. So it's driver dependent. Their racing is driver dependent. It's not the guy with the fastest car, like in Formula 1, where they can build their car and work on their brakes to release heat better, and they can work on it as long as they meet whatever specs Formula 1 sets down. So it's different racing. But I really love open wheel racing. It's my favorite. And no shade to anybody else who likes their particular racing, because we're all different. But I was watching a NASCAR race last night. I think the channel was showing some highlights of this last year, different NASCAR races. God, it looks a lot slower though after you watch open wheel racing. You watch Formula 1 and you watch IndyCar. Oh, and what I was going to say, when IndyCar is the fastest racing on earth, as they say, I think though when you run, when Formula 1 ran, I think in Austin, and then when IndyCar ran in Austin, the difference in the time, or the average time per lap, I think Formula 1 was about 13 or 14 seconds faster than IndyCar, because they do have more horsepower. They're faster in the shorter tracks, and so that gives you a question. Well, then what's the fastest racing on earth? Well, I guess the top speed, they consider it the top speed there at the Indianapolis 500 with the threat of a wall. And that's the other thing in Formula 1. They don't have a wall looking at them, the threat of hitting the wall. So they're just different racing. So I love watching this in Formula 1 and then they start testing early on before the season begins. So they don't get a lot of time off. I mean, they finish in what? Late or early December, right in there, I think. And then I think they're already testing by, I don't know, February. And then they'll have their first race, and then it's off and running again. And you get to watch Formula 1 racing from what, February, late February, I think, till early December. And then IndyCar racing will start in March and go till September, maybe October. And so you've got a lot of that to watch all the time. Between all of that, baseball and hockey, I've got something going year round. I've got a lot of good stuff to watch. But anyway, that's my drive and talk today. I love open wheel racing. I think it's the best racing to watch, just my opinion. And it's just really, really exciting. It can be really exciting, and they go really fast. And it's just a blast to watch. So I can't wait to go and attend more races. And I haven't been to a Formula 1 race yet. I think my son-in-law went to one down in Austin a couple years back. But IndyCar races are a lot more affordable. Your average guy can go and pay and get a ticket and go. And even getting special access to the pits and the paddock and all that, that's, your average guy can afford that too. So that's what I like about it. I'd like to go to a Formula 1 race, and probably one day I will. I don't have anything lined up yet, but we'll take a look. Anyway, that's the drive and talk for today. Share, like, and subscribe. Appreciate you watching, and try to get another video out for you. Take care.